I'm Juliet. I'm running for number 1 VP board at the QM.
Okay. So you mentioned that you were a freshers helper and the BU became a CSR in November. Do you think you've got enough experience to take up a senior role on the board of management?
That's honestly a question that I thought a lot about when deciding to run, because, well, a lot of the other candidates running like for VP MCS have had more experience, but honestly, I think that I do. I think that this year has been a not rough, but complicated year for the QM. We've had a lot of stuff. So I think that the past 6 months have been interesting to observe as someone who's relatively new to the union. And honestly, if I don't, the rest of the exec will, no matter who wins VP MCS, will have a lot of experience, and the support network is really, really good and it's quite flexible. So I'd like to say yes, and if I don't, I'll be learning very fast.
Okay. Are you worried that the workload of fourth year will affect your ability to commit as much time as is needed to the role of VP? If not, how do you plan to juggle the two?
Again, that's something that I've talked a lot about with Charles, the current VP board, because he had his dissertation due at the end of February and he was really busy. So it's something that I definitely am going to be working to balance. However, the structure of my dissertation is so that there's a lot of checkpoints that you have to meet, so it's pretty impossible to just not do anything and then have to do it, all at once. And VP board is quite flexible in terms of when you have to be in the building, compared to VP MCS, which is a lot more like admin, stuff like that. So hopefully my plan is to do office hours or have a certain day or two that I'm in the building and doing things with QM, and then, dedicate my time outside the QM to uni work and try and separate the two as much as possible.
Okay. You say you want to work with previous conveners and CSRs and to go forward and experiment with new structures. Do you think using experimentation as a practical method is a strong enough basis to go forward as Vice President of the Union with?
Well, it's not just that it's experimental, it's that the thing that really needs restructuring is the structuring of duty board, because as it is, it's 2 members of board in pretty much every night of the week and weekends if there's an event on. And while I personally quite like duty board, but I think that the structure of how it is unnecessary, because a lot of the time there's not that much for them to do, and it's kind of unfair to ask people to be in constantly. So my role with that is not to remove it, but just to try different structures, because it's not something that is super vital in terms of running of the QM, but it is something that just hasn't been changed previously, or hasn't very much been changed.
Okay, so you mentioned that you want to convert the second board meeting of the month into another social. Are you not worried that issues that would have been presented at the second board meeting might not have the opportunity to be raised at a purely social event? And is one board meeting a month enough for Board of Management to successfully run a union that's known to have been struggling recently?
Well, all of the other student unions have once monthly board meetings, to be honest, and that wasn't my personal decision. I'm in support of it very, very much. But it was a decision made by the exec, as well as having been advised by our consultant, Graham Atkinson. So I think that that's plenty of time, because to be honest, a lot of stuff that would come up in those extra board meetings, it's not often time pressing. I mean, if it is time pressing stuff, we have measures for that. We can have emergency board meetings. We also will be having more regular meetings between the exec and the conveners, as well as the CSRs. So that would be a matter of having the channels for emergency stuff, but a lot of the stuff that is more regular doesn't need to be addressed every other week.
Okay, so this is in reference to a section of your manifesto that says the regularity of monthly socials would hopefully put less pressure on people to attend board socials when they have other obligations. Do you mean to say that board meetings and socials should not necessarily be a priority for board members? Is now the time to be relieving pressure on board members given the current state of the union?
That is not at all what I meant. The thing is that board socials, because VP board in the past have been really tied down by having a lot of paperwork to do, because normally they minute all board meetings and do reports, and that basically takes up all of their time. So there haven't really been very many regular board socials in the past. And so one of the things that I meant by that was having more socials so that people who can't come to 1 or 2 aren't stressed out by the fact that they can't come, or don't feel the need to put stuff like really important uni work or other obligations aside to come to a board social when there's only 1 or 2 a semester.
Okay. So you say that you would like to be a point of contact for board members to discuss both union issues and non-union issues. This is quite a general comment, but in terms of actually achieving it, it's quite a large task. So how do you think this will work practically if you're meant to be in a senior role, and do you think this could maybe complicate disciplinary matters?
I think that's a valid question, and it's something I've thought a lot about, because it is often hard to balance being someone's friend but also being able to have the, not distance, but ability to discipline them if necessary. But I think the balance to me is being a friend and being open to talk about, but also like having a friend, like as a friend you would say if they were doing a certain thing that was, you know, maybe impacting someone negatively or like wasn't really a good thing to do, or like, you know, everyone's had a situation where you've been there, you know, your friend isn't acting a way that is really alright. So I think it's about having the ability and being open, like I'm gonna have office hours and stuff like that, to have people talk to you, but also understand and have them listen to you and respect your opinion.
Okay, so you've mentioned the often outdated practices surrounding the QM Board of Management. Can you please clarify what you mean specifically by that and how you intend to instigate positive change within the Board of Management?
That's a very large question. Part of that is, like I said, like a duty structure, because to be honest, you know, most nights when there's not an event on, duty board, all they do is really do building checks and lock up rooms. And also the faculty board meetings were, until the past 2 weeks, were twice a month. And while it's not that its board meetings aren't important, it's that a lot of stuff was coming up that wasn't really central to the board of management making decisions about running of the building and what the ethos of the building was. It was a lot more of everyday stuff and like keeping up with figures and stuff like that. Again, that's not important, but there's a lot of things and structures and just habits that have just stayed on from when they were made. Again, like even with just the way the policy is written, that's just never been updated because it's such a vast, like complex thing that's been written over years and years. That's just, there's so many superfluous things in it. So definitely like board meetings and duty are the two biggest things in terms of physical structure, but also just like providing more support for new CSRs and, well, returning CSRs and commuters.
Okay, so finally, you say in your manifesto that this upcoming academic year is looking to be one of enormous change for the board. I don't think there's any denying that there absolutely has to be an enormous change at the QMU this upcoming year. Can you tell me honestly what future you think the QM has as a student union or a university, given the financial struggles and the decline of its reputation in recent years?
I think that the QM still plays a vital role, and I wouldn't be running for a position if that weren't the case. And I think that in a lot of ways people have lost faith from the QM, both from the issues with sexual assault policy and just both in recent years, having attendance, you know, it's been declining, not for a long time, but for long enough that it's sort of a reinforcing thing where people think, oh, the QM, nobody goes there, and then they don't go there. So I think that with a lot of the changes that are going to be made this year, both by the exec that already have and the future exec, as well as Graham Atkinson, our consultant, and working with the uni as well, considering the new learning and teaching hub. I think that it still plays a vital role for student experience as a place to come and hang out with your friends, as well as host societies, because we have a ton of society space, and just be a place for students to be. And you know, a whole host of events that we have, especially live music, because we're one of the best live music venues on campus, and we've really been focusing on that this year.